It's our CD. See, I hate holding up a CD. I want to hold up an album. This is my album. You can barely see this. You know, just put it over there.
Pearl Jam's debut album 10, released on Epic Records, was recorded at London Bridge Studios in Seattle between March and April of 1991. 10 came about from a 5-song instrumental demo tape that Jeff Ament, Stone Gossard, Mike McCready, and Matt Cameron came up with. The demo tape was made after Ament and Gossard's former band Mother Love Bone had broken up. Copies of the demo were eventually given to drummer Dave Krusen and vocalist Eddie Vedder, both of whom were invited to audition for the band in Seattle. Vedder reworked the songs with new melodies and lyrics, and 10 was born.
I got a call to try singing. So I sent up a tape, and all of a sudden I was living in Seattle.
The band, which was then named Mookie Blaylock, entered London Bridge Studios in Seattle, Washington, with producer Rick Parashar to record 10. Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament had previously worked with Parashar on the Temple of the Dog record, and asked him to co-produce and engineer 10. But he ended up doing a lot more than that, as he also contributed piano, percussion, and co-wrote vocal harmonies for the album. Parashar also co-wrote the intro and outro that appears on 10. A few tracks were recorded a couple months back in January at London Bridge, but only Alive was carried over from that session. The recording sessions for 10 were quick and only lasted a month, mainly due to the band having already written most of the material for the record.
The record was actually, it was a very quick and very spontaneous kind of thing. I think we had almost all the material written within probably 2 separate times of Eddie coming up for about a week at a time. He came up for a week and we actually ended up recording about 10 songs, and then came up a week later and we did another like probably 10 or so. And some of it was written musically as far as like arranged and stuff before, and some of it was written spontaneously like together as a jam, and some of it was written as a band, you know, even right before we went into the studio. And we basically made the record, I guess it was 3 or 4 months after becoming a band, so I think it's a very raw and very young sounding record, which is exactly where we were at that time. I think that's kind of how this band wants to operate, and not spend a lot of time thinking about what it would have been like if we had waited 6 months and, you know, hired studio musicians to come in and play our parts, but letting some of the rough edges show, and just being honest with where we're at musically, and like, you know, this is what we did, and, you know, in the first 6 months that we were together.
Upon completion of the recording sessions in May of '91, drummer Dave Krusen left the band, checking himself into rehab. According to Krusen, he was suffering from personal problems at the time. "It was a great experience," Krusen said. "I felt from the beginning of that band that it was something special. They had to let me go. I couldn't stop drinking, and it was causing problems. They gave me many chances, but I couldn't get it together." And so, with Krusen's departure from the band, this is where you get drummer Dave Abruzzese coming in. He was brought in to play the live shows and became a permanent member up until his departure in 1994. In the years following the release of 10, the band members have expressed their dissatisfaction with the way the album's mixing turned out. In 2002, Stone Gossard said, "It was overwrought. We were novices in the studio and spent too long recording, doing different takes, and killing the vibe, and overdubbing tons of guitar. There's a lot of reverb on that record." In 2006, Vedder said, "I can listen to the early records, except the first record. It's just the sound of the record. It was kind of mixed in a way that it was kind of produced."
I think just the feeling of knowing where everybody's at, like whether it's on a basketball court or like within a song. I think when it really happens, and when you all hit that peak at the same time, you get this incredible rush, and that's the addictive part of music. I mean, that's what you're trying to achieve every time that you go out.
Pearl Jam's debut album 10 is 11 tracks of hard rock / alternative rock, featuring the rockers Once, Even Flow, and Alive, mixed in with the anthemic Jeremy and softer moments on the songs such as Oceans and the massive rock ballad Black. And speaking of Black, after the album had become commercially successful and popular, Pearl Jam's record label Epic Music wanted to release Black as a hit single because the company knew that it would be a very popular song. However, Pearl Jam refused this offer, saying that Black wasn't written to be the band's hit single and it meant a lot more than that for the band members. Here's what Eddie Vedder had to say about the song in an interview with Rolling Stone. Some songs just aren't meant to be played between hit number 2 and hit number 3. You start doing those things, you'll crush it. That's not why we wrote songs. We didn't write to make hits. According to Vedder, the band never aimed to create hit singles to gain more money and fame. Black and their other songs were written as a part of the band's passion for music and artistic creations.
There's like a different level that you reach, you know, when everything's just so connected and there's this unspoken kind of communication. And I think the same thing happens with like surfing. It's like a communication with nature, and it's a bond, and it's very much something, you know, it's not Disneyland, and you have to have respect for the ocean just as you have to have respect for, you know, a crowd of 3,000 people or something like that.
4 singles were released from 10: Alive, Even Flow, Jeremy, and Oceans. 10 still remains Pearl Jam's most commercially successful record. Although sales were slow initially, by the second half of 1992, 10 had become a breakthrough success and has since gone on to become the band's most successful commercial release. The album spent a total of 264 weeks on the Billboard charts, making it one of the top 15 charting albums ever. By February of 1993, American sales of 10 had surpassed those of Nirvana's Nevermind. In 2013, the album was certified 13 times platinum, selling 13 million copies in the United States alone. But the band wasn't expecting such a sudden jump into the limelight and was overwhelmed. Vedder thought that with the mass popularity of the album on their backs, fame would do them in. It's getting too big too quickly, Vedder remembered. We were going to be crushed. Our heads were going to pop like grapes.
That's why we fought to get a fold-out that was big as an album. That's true. So now it's big as an album, but it's kind of flimsy. It's flimsier than, like, you know, a real album would be. Here's the lyrics. I wrote these while I was sleeping. Woke up and sang them. Now I've got a job.
The album's cover art features the members of the band at the time of recording in a group pose and standing in front of a wood cutout of the name Pearl Jam, with their hands risen high and holding one another's. The wood cutout was constructed by bass player Jeff Ament. Ament said the original concept was about really being together as a group and entering into the world of music as a true band, a sort of all-for-one deal. Ament is credited for the album's artwork and direction. Now, there's a bit of a funny story how the album got its name. Now, as mentioned before they were Pearl Jam, the band was called Mookie Blaylock. Mookie Blaylock was a professional basketball player, one the band admired, and his jersey number was, well, you guessed it, 10. And that is how the album got its name. In 2009, a reissue of 10 was released, and this was released in 4 editions. You had the Legacy Edition, the Deluxe Edition, a Vinyl Collection, and a Super Deluxe Edition. These editions featured various bonus tracks, a remixed and remaster of the album, and a DVD of Pearl Jam's previously unreleased 1992 MTV Unplugged performance. And on August 27th, 2021, the album celebrated its 30th anniversary. Guitarist Stone Gossard spoke to the Seattle Times talking about the 30th anniversary and said, "I can't believe it's 30 years. It basically just makes you go, wow, I'm so freaking old. It's unbelievable." This record I remember like it was yesterday, being in there and doing 8 takes of even flow and trying to get it right, and being stressed out about it thinking it's never gonna be good enough. But it sure was good enough, and to this day 10 remains Pearl Jam's best-selling album, their most successful release amongst an amazing catalog of material, and goes down as one of the greatest albums in rock history. So, 10, the debut album from Pearl Jam. Many Pearl Jam fans would consider this their best album that they ever put out, and there certainly is a case for that. There are many great tracks on here. The album gets off to an awesome start with the song Once, very cool rock song, and you follow that up with the 2 massive cornerstone songs from this album, Even Flow and Alive, the songs that really kicked it all off for Pearl Jam. Jeremy, of course, another huge song from this album with its controversial subject matter. Oceans, a very nice song off this album too, with Vedder using a very cool phaser type effect with his vocals on that song. Check out Garden, some pretty epic moments on that song too. And the album ends with another amazing track, and that is Release. A very good song and just finishes off the album nicely. And you may have noticed one song that I left off here, and that is Black. In many ways, this could easily be seen as the biggest song from this album. Not released as a single, as mentioned before, Pearl Jam weren't interested in cashing in on it or anything like that. They just love the song for its artistic brilliance, and it is an amazing rock ballad. Especially when Vedder hits 3/4 of the way into the song singing, I know someday you have a beautiful life, I know you'll be a star in somebody else's sky, but why can't it be mine? Everybody knows the epicness of that part. Amazing track. So there you go, guys. That'll wrap it up for going behind the album on Pearl Jam's debut 10. Be sure to leave all your thoughts and memories of 10 in the comment section below. Leave us a big thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time.